Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the Frontline Changes Report. And we're going to start off with, this for the past 2 days, by the way, it's for 2040 to 2041, 29 to 30th of December. We're going to start off with the Cur Front. Over in Kulenkwe, sorry, oops, I accidentally pressed the wrong button. Yeah, so over at Kulenkwe, in the Kursk front, the Ukrainians have claimed, based on Ukrainian mapping, that they have successfully counterattacked and captured this huge amount of grounds. These are an enormous amount of grounds around Kulenkoi that was supposedly recaptured. However, this is just a Ukrainian claim, so we'll just leave this as this. It is pretty huge. It's 8.2 square kilometers, very huge chunk of open grounds and some bits of forest and forest lines. So let's see. And of course, the re-entry into Novo Ivanovka. And so let's see how these play out. Over in the south, in the southern flank, there is a huge development. Russian forces has been geolocated in the south of Dmitrievkov, yeah, and just off Makhnovka. And we actually have reports of fighting at Makhnovka, according to Russian Defense Ministry, which actually confirms the Russian presence in this sector. My personal feeling is that it's coming from the north of Chkapskoye-Konopelka, rather than some mappings may draw it like this, including the capture of Chkapskoye-Konopelka, which I don't think is the case. I think the Russian forces basically drive along this road quickly and land troops into Dmitrievkov and basically establish a presence in this area here. And that's what I think it is. Because fighting is still being reported in Chkapskoye-Konopelka, so no, I don't think this is a no, I don't think Chkapskoye-Konopelka is actually captured. So this is how I do it. And basically the distance travel is 4 kilometers. So yeah, so it must be a very fast drive, to quickly drop troops. So that's all from the frontline changes in the Kursk front. The next frontline change is over at Turny. So at Turny, over at the Liman front, we have a new geolocation. Russian forces has been geolocated in the south of Turny, continuing this digging. And this is becoming like a finger. Like you can see, this is a finger going around like this. No, it's very suggestive. No, very kinky. So the Russian forces basically flank. Basically, this is like a flanking movement into the rear position in the south of Turny, basically cutting off any connection between the causeway and the direction towards Yampolivka. So this is a very daring move from the Russians, moving in this direction, definitely tickling the Ukrainians into thinking that the end is nigh. So anyway, that's all from Turny. The distance from the last front line change is around 700 meters. So pretty significant. And of course, some people might think that it's like this, no? Like this is like the frontline change actually could be like this. Tentatively, I'm a bit more conservative in the frontline change. I believe that is probably just a continuation from the previous geolocation. So after Turny, the next frontline change, we go to the Bakhmut front over in Kharkov. So at Kharkov region, so just in case I'm a bit too fast, I know. This is Bakhmut, and Kharkov is here. And the Ukrainian mapping have updated the map to finally acknowledge that they have lost at least almost the entirety of Kharkov. They have drawn that this entire southern street is entirely under Russian control. However, they did claim a bit more of the tree line along this the heavy entrenchment in the northeast of Kharkov. So, but that's about it. So this is the frontline change at Kharkov. Basically, the Russians have already announced the capture since September. So the Ukrainian mapping is only just catching up. After Kharkov, we go to Torx front. And over at Torx, there is a new geolocation of Russian forces in an entirely new position. So this means that the Russians continue to make advance within Torx, And yeah, so this is bad news for the Ukrainians as the Russians continue to slow crawl across Torx as they continue to slowly move all around the place. In Nelipivka, a very interesting update as well. Again, and yet another concession of something that the Russians have already claimed to have captured long time ago. Russians have already announced the capture of Nelipivka also in September. However, the Ukrainian mapping only just mapped that most of Nelipivka is now under Russian control. So this is like super belated by the Ukrainian mapping. So let's watch. We do have Ukrainian forces geolocated somewhere around here, which is why this area here was firmly under Ukrainian control in our mapping. So the Russians probably have retaken this. So that's what it is. So let's watch and see how this impossible salient will take. So this is like a, I'm not even sure what is this, man. Like, no. So this is ridiculous, but yeah, it is what it is. So after Nelipivka, we go to Vozdevizhenka, and there is some updates in terms of the mapping based on Ukrainian mapping, with the Russian forces capturing some additional tree lines in the east and southeast of Vozdevizhenka. So just some updates, some small little change over in this sector, with the Russians capturing mainly these tree lines around here. So after Vozdevizhenka in the Pokrov front, we continue on in the Pokrov front to the Chanskay. So according to the according to the geolocation, Russian forces have basically, if I'm not wrong, fully captured the Chanskay. So based on this geolocation, Russian forces have firmly captured all of these areas. And the first announcement of capture was on the 26th of December by the pro-Russian source. I say that based on this, most likely we should actually can call this full capture. So let's give this a full capture. So the Chanskay, Russian forces captured Chanskay. So 30th December. Yeah. So let's do this. And basically a New Year gift. So that's a flag. So this is a full capture of the Chanskay by the Russian forces as the Russians continue to move into the west of Lysivka, which is Pinsk. So that's all from the Chanskay. Over at the north of Verozhenia, Russian forces have actually advanced along the railway line. This is mapped by the Ukrainian mapping, Deep State UA. And so the Russians continue to make progress in the east of Shevchenko or the north of Verozhenia. So as they continue to move on towards Novo, which is over here. So that's the movement by the Russian forces in this sector. The total distance traveled is around 670 meters. So that's all from this area. Over at Vovkove, on the other side of the Pishane, the Russian forces seems to have almost entirely captured Vovkove based on the mapping from the Ukrainian side. Vovkove is a very small village, so it's just going to be always an easy capture by the Russian forces, but almost, not yet, but almost fully captured. And this would mean that the Russian forces is just a mere 2.2 kilometers away from the main road, from the highway, the T0406. So this is a big problem for the Ukrainians, as the Russians are heading towards the highway. The next frontline change over at Novo Vasilivka, with Russian forces fully taking the entire southern industrial area in Novo Vasilivka. So that's the frontline change in this sector. Moving further south, over at Novo Yelizaveta, Russian forces have basically captured almost the entirety of the settlement, with the central part falling to the Russians, as well as the entire northern outskirt of the village. So this entire town or village is now almost fully under Russian control, with the Russians continuing their push towards Nedievka. As we speak, the Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture of Novo Olenivka, so definitely still lagging behind. The mapping is by Ukrainian mapping. And so after Novo Yelizaveta, the next frontline change is over Sontsivka. The impossible salient has closed according to the Ukrainian mapping. This is by Deep State UA. and the Russian forces have now firmly capturing this impossible bag here. Definitely, this bag has always been under Russian control. It doesn't make sense to even be a thing. So this has entirely fallen, and just nearby, Russian forces basically captured the central part of Shevchenko. Very similar situation as Novo with the Russians almost fully captured the entire thing, and of course this continued to be an impossible tactical situation for the Ukrainians as the Russian forces continue to move in ways that defies logic to the Ukrainians because Ukrainian logic. So over in Kharkov itself, in the Battle of Kharkov, Russian forces have captured another huge amount of grounds all the way towards the south at the railway, the Kharkov region and the south of Kharkov region in the Dacha region. And then the geolocation of Russian forces in the high-rise zone in the Pivdeny districts of Kharkov confirmed that the Russians have fully captured all the high-rise building around here. And the Russians also continue to flank up north along the tree line with further advancement mapped by the Ukrainian mapping as they are now distance around maybe 1.2 kilometers away from Kharkov. And or if you count this part as Kharkov, if there's actually anything there, then it's merely 500 meters. So so the Russian forces continue their conquest of Kharkov. And in the USPENIVKA sector, there is a major update of mapping, Ukrainian mapping plus DPA's by the geolocation by Creamy Caprice with our DPA's judgment call. We have a massive chunk of territory now under Russian capture. The Russian forces most likely crossed the river north of Konstantinopolsk, as well as moving out from USPENIVKA, capturing the entire entrenchment that is protecting north of USPENIVKA. The Russian forces also go down the tree line as on the west of Turny. So massive advancement in this sector as the Russians going to close in over on Yatarny in this area here. And so after USPENIVKA sector, the next frontline change is where is it? Is this the last one? Yeah, this is the last one. There's no more frontline changes. So we're gonna do some calculation, some mathematics. Just to sum up. Of course, the biggest capture is actually by the Ukrainians. The claim recapture in Kursk over in the Krudenkoye region actually contributes the biggest with 8.2 square kilometers, and this massive the biggest frontline change over the past 48 hours. For the Russians is the USPENIVKA one, this which we only just covered. This entire two chunk represents around 7.66 square kilometers, with Pokrov and Kharkov not that far behind. Pokrov is more here and there all over the place, whereas Kharkov is mainly the closure of the back at Sontsivka. So let's do some mathematics. The total captured territory by the Ukrainians is 8.27 square kilometers. So there is because there's only two, so it's easier. So let's count the Russians one. 3.63 plus 0.23 plus 0.898, plus 0.7 plus 6.04 plus 5.86 plus 7.66, with total capture of 25.1 square kilometers, which is pretty consistent around 10 square kilometers per day. So that's about it. So anyway, so this is the frontline changes report for the 30th, 29th and 30th of December. Today is the 31st. This includes all the latest frontline changes as per this recording. So thank you for watching. Happy New Year, and I'll see you guys in the next update.